Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Of course, this is MJ, the coding coach. I am back. So today I wanted to explain excludes 1 and excludes 2. So this is primarily really, taught or harped upon in your CPC class if you're studying for your certified professional coder certification. Of course, you're going to talk about excludes 1 and excludes 2. And sometimes even when we go through a course, it's still confusing what excludes 1 and excludes 2 really means. So I am going to break down in this video what excludes 1 and excludes 2 actually mean. So before we get into this video, don't forget to like, to comment if you have any questions or just any comments. Remember, this is a learning channel, so we're all learning. You might tell me something that I haven't known yet or haven't learned yet. So this is a learning channel for us all. So drop your comments, subscribe. Don't forget to like as well. So excludes 1 and excludes 2. So I wrote on a whiteboard, and of course you can grab your ICD-10 books if you would like to. Again, like I said, if you're going through the CPC course, then of course you are learning about excludes 1 and excludes 2. Any other coding certifications you're going to get as well, you're going to talk about excludes 1 and excludes 2, but probably not so much as you would in the CPC setting or whatever. So let's start. Let's start with M21. M21. This is other acquired deformities of the limbs. So you see excludes 1. There are other codes under this excludes 1 code, and these are the same codes that you will see in your ICD-10 book. These are the same codes you'll see in your book. I just wrote it on the whiteboard. So just to simply explain it, excludes 1 means you cannot code this with the primary code. And then in this instance, the M21 would be our primary code that we're talking about. So let's go into why. You still have the big Y written next to it. So let's get into why. So under your excludes 1 in your book, if you look up M21, which is other acquired deformities of your limb, you're gonna see Z89, which is acquired absence of your limbs. This pretty much is talking about amputations, post-procedural loss of your limbs, things like that. You're going to see where it says Q71 through 73, which is congenital absence of the limbs. And also you're going to see the Q65 and Q66, as well as Q68 through Q74, which is congenital deformities and malformations of your limbs. Also, in the excludes 2 section, if you look in your book, you're going to see where it says M20, acquired deformities of fingers and toes. You're going to see that as well. In excludes 2, as you can see, I have it in blue. Just to put it in simple terms, you can code with the primary code. So as I said, let me give you an explanation why. Sometimes in the coding world, when we have rules of saying, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, I find it very much so helpful when we get a chance to understanding why we can't do certain things. When we get to the get underneath the surface and really understand, then it kind of clicks and all of it will make sense. And it just makes the whole course or just being a coder period a lot easier. Let's get into why not. Why can't you use these codes under excludes 1 with the primary code of M21? Okay, let's start with Q71. So I'll just give you one example because I didn't want to make a really long video and I wanted to make it so you guys can understand it. So this is why you cannot use the excludes 1 with your primary code that you're looking for. So let me give you the example. Q71 through Q73 is congenital absence of the limbs, or even the other ones. Q65, 66, 68 through 74, congenital deformities or malformations of the limb. So if you're wondering, well, why you can't code that with other acquired deformities of the limbs, why these codes don't go together, let me tell you why. And this will give you a better understanding of the excludes 1 rules. So This is also a part of knowing your medical terms, medical terminology, and things like this. We all know that acquired, you see how this M21 is other acquired deformities of your limbs? Acquired mean you got this from somewhere or along the way. The best example I can give you is AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which means you acquired this immune deficiency syndrome from someone, from somebody, from something, blood transfusions at one point before technology got really, really good. So acquired means we got it from somewhere. Your acquired knowledge. That's something you already have. So we know that acquired means, you got it from somewhere or whatever. You got the knowledge, but you acquired it from somewhere. So congenital, if we know our terms, our medical terminology and things like that, we know that congenital means you're born with this. So if you hear the term, oh, he has congenital heart failure, that means he was born with heart failure. So when it says congenital absence of limbs, this means you were born with the absence of your limbs. It was congenital. When you got here in the world, you did not have limbs. You didn't acquire it along the way. You did not have this from the start. So M21 is other acquired deformities, mean that along the way you acquired some kind of deformities in your limbs. Q71, 73, and those other Q65, 6, 68, 70, 74 codes, congenital absence and deformities. So the reason you cannot code these codes together, because it's a direct contradiction of what you're trying to say. Remember, when we're coding medical charts, we're really translating the words into codes where the insurance claims adjuster or the claims person in insurance can pick it up, see what the codes are, look up the codes, and you can tell what services this person got done for this date of service. So again, with medical charts, we're translating language into codes. So if you put M21 and Q71 on the same form, on the same claim, it's a contradiction. You're saying that this person was born with the absence of their limbs or born with deformities, and then you're turning around and saying that they acquired these deformities along the way. Now, you might not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm sure you're not the butter knife either, just as I am not. So you're basically saying this patient was born with congenital deformities, and then you're saying they acquired these deformities. So which one is it? Were they born with the deformities of their limbs, or did they acquire deformities along the way? It cannot be both. It cannot be both. So therefore, that's why you cannot put the codes from Excludes 1 under there with the primary code or on the same claim. It's kind of a contradiction of itself. A direct contradiction. So there it is in a nutshell, Excludes 1 and Excludes 2 explained.